Now, if you come in with a lot of work, but you're not quite sure, if I go this way, set up this experiment, I'm going to need this, 1, 2, 3. However, if you don't agree, you have any suggestion, I have also the second option here. It's going to also cost some money. But here is the information that I can find and I look for, and I already talked to the other kind of similar laboratory on campus or off campus. I have friends at Mahidol University, I have friends at Nanotech, and I went to see their laboratory and they come in with a real plan, remember? Right? Don't come in whining and so on and so forth. Now, if you have a feeling that your advisor does not agree with you, often a lot,
Yes.
what do you do? No, this never happened to you, right? Your advisor always listen to you. No. Okay? You have to build up credibility. Many of us are parents. You know that you never trust your child. You never think that your child or your children are grown up enough to make a good judgment. On the other hand, you are adult. You survive the whole education system to become a PhD candidate, a PhD student. You are not children. If you still act like you are children, you are children. You don't deserve your PhD. Now, don't tell your advisor that I tell you to be rebel or rebellious or whatever. But you do have to have some certain productive rebellious, research-oriented, productive rebellious, not go in, oh, professor, no, I think you are wrong. You are really wrong. You have to listen to me. You don't really know and you don't read up on all the references. I do. Well, I said, good, because it's your PhD degree, not mine. I mean, I have a lot of students that different personality, but then once you make sure that you have technical basis and all the good options to lay out with your advisor, then you have to bring in this psychology aspect because they're all human. We're all human here, right? You don't like your friend, everybody equally, because your friend has different personality. You don't really love all your brother, sister equally. I don't believe that, because your sister, brother has different personality. Just like you have your personality. Your advisor has their personality. The more your advisor has trouble with getting his or her PhD, the chances are they're going to impose that on you. Remember that? This is a very profound statement. I have seen it. I have seen from my colleague. I have seen from students who came into my office, asked me to be their advisor, crying and say, I couldn't stand my advisor any longer. I said, okay, here is a clinic, wipe your tears, and let's sit down and talk. I could not be your new advisor. You have to go back and face it. Because professional courtesy, I will not get student from my colleague. Student comes and goes. As much as I want to help him or her, as much as I know how terrible my colleague is or are, I could not do that without really talk to my colleague and find out what's the problem. And I rather get a better, brighter, newer students rather than accept other people's students because it does not serve me. So what that leave you? You still cry, you're angry, you feel like your world is collapsing, you are in the dark, and oh, you're going to not getting your PhD, and my marriage pending upon this, and my fiance is pushing pressure, my parents are saying, when are you going to graduate? And it's a lot of pressure. But my point is, your advisor is a human being. They cope with their own problem, and many of them insecure. They still need to feel that they know more than you do. Although you will not get your PhD unless you prove to your advisor that you really know your subject and you do know more than he. You see how controversial, how tension it is? And you pick your advisor because you have the respect. But after a year and a half, you start feeling that you know more than she does. I tell you it's normal, because if you don't know more, you don't deserve your PhD. And that, when it's a sensitive issue here, how are you going to publish? You see him, excuse me for saying, he just got number 7 paper published. And he's still not quite sure whether he should graduate with his PhD. I said, what? 7 papers? And you're still not sure whether you should get your PhD? I said, well, let's talk. What's the problem? You couldn't communicate with your advisor, or... Well, for us as an advisor, we think you are our slave. We think we own you, you know? And the bright and the best and wonderful and productive and publish 6. I said, let's see whether I can get him to publish 10 papers before I let him go. And there's always that kind of thought. You said, what? I still have not got my first paper published after 3 years. Hey, all I'm saying is, it's also the psychological and managing skill that one hand you have to prove yourself that you deserve that. Don't let any